무궁화꽃이 피었습니다.
Hello my friends! Today I'm going to explain the series Squid Game Season 2. It will not be just a summary, but an explanation for all the events, episode by episode. In the video description, you will find the timestamps for the beginning of each episode's summary, so you can choose to watch the summary of a specific episode or the entire series. But before we start, I will remind you of the important events in the first season that are relevant to the second season. In season 1, we saw Seong, a poor man who wished he had money. Suddenly, one day, a person talked with him and offered him to get in a game called Squid Game, where he could earn a lot of money. Of course, Seong agreed and became a player number 456. He discovered that many people were participating in the game and they were poor and in debt, and losing in this game meant death. Game after game, Seong managed to survive and reach the end, and he won 45 billion won, but all the players died. After he won, he discovered that the old man, player number 1, was one of the businessmen who designed the game and was the mastermind behind everything, and the old man died after the game due to a brain disease, and Seong decided to take revenge, especially for the death of all his friends. He determined to stop the game so no other players would die in the future. The second season started with the hero with the stupid red hair and decides to cancel the travel and come back to take revenge on the owners of the game and threaten the person in charge of the game is that he will take revenge and destroy the game, even if it was the last day of his life. But the official told him, "You will regret it, and let your stupid hair benefit you." Then we see the hero in the bathroom, psychologically shocked, but he discovered a spy device on his ear and takes it off in a very painful way and decides to take revenge. And then we see the policeman John, the spy who was in the first season, and we are surprised when we know that he is the brother of the manager of the game. After he took off his mask, we got to know him, but in a shocking moment, he threw fire on his shoulder in order to keep him away from the island. And after 2 years, the first episode of the second season starts with the title Bread and Lottery. We see the policeman John became a regular traffic policeman and gives a ticket to a guy and a girl, and his friend comes to him, and they go to the restaurant, and his friend asks him to return to the crime department and forget what happened to him on the island, because no one from the police believes what happened to him, and they considered him a liar, and there are no such games, and if I wasn't here, they would have kicked you out. Then we see the hero player 456, and his name is Seong, and he is afraid and observing the cameras, and his friend comes to him and tells him, "We have been looking for the same person responsible for the games for 2 years, but there is no result." And Seong tells him that at this time the game will start, and sure they are looking for players in the train stations and give him millions of money to hire people to monitor the train stations, or they will have to wait a second year. His friend is so excited about the money and hire hundreds of people for assistance and tell the employees that if we find this person in a billion reward. Then we see the policeman John also looking for the island with the help of his friend, the captain, and also they have been looking for 2 years, but unfortunately they couldn't get to the mysterious island, and Seong's friend explains to the employees about the person who they are looking for, that he is wearing a suit, and he has cards for the Gi game, and he is in the train stations, and he has a Squid Game card, and they disrupt the employees to all the stations and promise them that the team that will success will take 500 million. And the days pass. Hero Seong is still looking, and the policeman too, but they don't find anything. And when the employees are fighting after they lost hope, they shocked when they hear the sound of hitting a palm. And really he is the person responsible for finding the players. And he is playing Gi with one of the beggars chosen for the game and gives him a card to join the game. And immediately they call Seong, and he asks his men to follow him until he arrives. And we also see a girl in a woman's clinic, and she has the same card, and call the number and leaves the clinic. And then we see the official buying a lot of bread and Seong's men watching him. Then he buys a lot of lotteries and goes to the garden to look for players randomly. And he sees a poor person and offers him food or a lottery ticket to see if he likes pets, and asks the beggar to choose one, a bread or a game of luck. And the beggar chooses the game of luck, but loses, and the official leaves without giving him bread and goes to someone else and also offers him bread or a game of luck, but also choose a game of luck and fails. And we see the official trying other people, but everyone fails. But the last person chooses bread, and the official stands in the middle of the garden and throws all bread on the ground and screams, "I gave you a chance to eat bread, but you are rejected it." Then he left, and Seong's men try to catch him so that he doesn't run away, but he catches them and hit them. Then we see the policeman John is looking for Seong's name, and he remembers him because he went to him and asked for help to look for the island, but Seong apologized to him. Then we see Seong reaches his men, but he sees only blood and a knife, and the official is looking at him from the roof and recognizes Seong. And the next day we see the person in charge of the game detaining the two people and telling them, "You will play rock, paper, scissors, and the loser will die with a bullet through the Russian roulette game. I mean, 1 bullet in a gun and 6 empty bullets, and it's up to your luck." And after several attempts, no one dies. So the official changes and puts 5 bullets. I mean, the chances of survival are few, and they are play, and the assistant loses. But the leader sacrificed his life to help him. Then the official investigates Seong's assistant, and we see the policeman John sneaking on Seong's place and looking and reading the files. And then Seong returns to his house. And the surprise is that we see the person in charge of the game inside his house and telling him that you should have traveled by plane 2 years ago, but you kept trying to look for me. And Seong answers him mockingly, "I want to thank you. Because of you, I won the game and became rich." But the official replies to him, "I am just a messenger who give invitation cards to the players." And Seong asks him to let him meet the manager of the game, because there are important words that no one understands its meaning except the manager, and you are just an obedient dog. But the official tells him that, "In the past, I was responsible for the players in the game, and I was happy to watch the losing players die, because they are only greedy and selfish people, and they must be eliminated. And because of my hard work, I was promoted, and I am happy." And tell him, "Several years ago, I had to shoot someone in the game, and the surprise is that this person was my father, and he begged me hard, but I was shot, and I was very happy, and I love this job." But Seong replies to him, "Even if you are happy and active, you are just a dog to your masters, and it's impossible for someone like you to know the suffering and the sacrifices until the winner gets out of the game." And tells him, "Not every player deserves to die." And the official tells him, "We will play a game called Russian roulette, and one of us will win and the other will die. And if you won, you will find the address of my manager in my pocket, and I will put 1 out of 6 bullets and see who is lucky." And the game starts with sounds of music and excitement. And Seong takes the gun, and the first try is empty. And now it's the official's turn, and also it's empty. And the third and fourth try is empty too. And the 5th attempt is Seong's turn. He has a 50% chance of survival. And the official tells him, "You are afraid and thinking of betraying me and shooting me. And if you do that, you are admitting that you are a bad and dirty person, and you deserve to die in the game." But Seong surprises us by pressing the trigger, and it's also empty. And now there is only 1 bullet left, and it's the killer bullet. The official will die if he completes the game. Seong tells him, "It's your turn. You can break the rules and die, or take off your mask and admit that you are the dirty deceiver who tricks people." In both cases, the official will lose either his life or his principles. And this way, he decides to pull the trigger and die. The first episode ends with the officials lose, and Seong wins the address of the game manager. And the second episode starts with the policeman John watching Seong's house, but he gets excited and goes out to him, and Seong is shocked how the official killed himself, but happy because he will take the address of the manager. And the policeman John enters and hears the voice of someone screaming, and when he enters, he sees the assistant who was the official interrogating him, and he asks him about Seong's place. Then we see Seong taking the address of the manager from the official, but suddenly the policeman John enters to him and arrests him for murder, but the assistant beats the policeman and loses consciousness and tells Seong what happened to him and how the official killed his friend. And the scene ends with the card that has the manager's address. And the second episode starts with the title Halloween and starts with Seong while he is asking the policeman, "Who are you? And what do you want from me?" And John told him that he was a spy on the island and they meet once in the games and his goal is to look for his brother. But the strange thing is that he doesn't tell Seong that the leader is his brother, the Black Masked, and the man responsible for organizing these games. And Seong told him that his goal is to put an end to these games once and for all. And currently, he has an invitation card to join the game. And John asks to help Seong, and they became partners. And Seong agrees and takes him to a room full of money. And this is the prize he won. And if I were in his place, I'd skip the challenges and just enjoy my life like a superstar. What are your opinion? Write to me in the comments. And Seong tells him this is blood-stained money and I will spend it in order to put an end to these games, and who helps me will take the money he wants. And John told him that my goal is to meet my brother, I don't want money. And the assistant tells him that my goal is to avenge my friend and I don't want money too. And Seong takes them to a room full of weapons and asks them to prepare a team. Then we meet a new heroine in the series, a very beautiful girl named Nol, and a child with a cancer comes to her and needs an operation, and Nol feels very sad for her. We also discover that Nol has a missing baby girl and is looking for her, and her life is bad and she has a lot of debt and she sleeps in the car because he is poor. But suddenly a stranger knocks on the window and gives her an invitation card to join the Squid Game. Then we see Seong goes to a dentist to implant a tooth that contains a GPS tracking device. He also organizes a team of skilled fighters to attack the island after locating it and sending them a signal through the tracking device. And Rabbit Knoll calls the number on the invitation card and gives them her name and her age. And the start date is set for Halloween, and the address is a nightly cafe. Seong and his men come in to watch the place, and everyone wearing masks because of Halloween. The Masked Game administrations enter and take Seong, who is riding in a limousine car. Seong's men are chasing the car, while Seong is in a car alone with a direct phone call to the game manager, and he tells him, "I wish you heard my words and traveled by plan, because we made you rich and gave you all the reasons for happiness. But you are a stupid person." And Seong answers him, "How do you want me to forget my friends who died in the game so that I win?" And the manager of the game answers, "What you want from me?" And Seong asks him to stop the game, and the manager answers him, "We invited the game and everyone participated by volunteering." But Seong told him, "You take advantage of people who have debts and need a chance to earn money and help their families, and you push them to join the game of death, and you have fun watching them die." But the manager tells him, "These are losers, they have been limited and do not deserve to live." Then we see Seong's men pursue him, but suddenly the snipers target and shoot them, and Seong is completely alone. And the game manager tells Seong, "What do you think you are? Intelligent? You want to chase me down and force me to stop the game in this simple way?" And Seong makes a bold decision and asks him to involve him in the game again. But the manager asks him, "Do you think you are a hero and you can change the world?" But Seong asks him for a chance to prove to him that the players deserve life. The manager agrees and separates Hypnotized in the car. And this way, Seong will be back to the game, and John moves to the alternative plan, which is that they know about the location of the island through the tracking device. And finally, we see Null enter the track with rooms And here is the big surprise. She wears the clothes of those responsible for the games. I mean, she is not a player, but she is a guard and an evil. And here I was so shocked because I saw her a very nice girl. What do you think? I am very excited about what will happen in the upcoming events in the rest of the episode that I will post in the next video. Please subscribe to that channel to receive everything new. And the third episode will start with Gi-hun and Seong's men preparing themselves to go immediately when they know the address of the island and to keep the hero Seong safe. And the title of the third episode is 001 and Seong wakes up on the first day and also his number is 456 like the first season, and everyone starts to get to know each other and the girl talks to him and tells him that you are cursed and there are souls hovering around you and she wants to take revenge on you. It seems that this girl is a fortune teller. And finally, the officials enter and welcomes the players and tell them that the game is 6 stages during 6 days, and the players start complaining about the place and the clothes. So the official will give details about how bad each person is, how most of them are swindlers, and they all owe millions, and this old man owes 10 billions won. And the official tells them that you have a chance to come back to life and win billions, and the piggy bank appears, and every day the money will increase until it reaches 45 billion won. And after each stage, you'll get a chance to vote to either continue the game or withdraw, and the money will be distributed to everyone as each stage progresses. But what really shocks me when we see an old woman participating in the game with her son, but they don't tell each other and are surprised when they meet there. I swear I was upset about her. I wondered who will sacrifice his life to save the second, or they both will lose. And the young man asks the official to let his mother leave the game, but the official refuses and everyone goes to sign to the terms of the game. Then we get to know the player MG, and he is the owner of the largest channel for crypto coins, and because of it these two lost their money and tried to beat him to return the money to them, but he is bankrupt. Then we see Seong's men approaching the island and the Squid Game starts. Then we get to know a player named Thanos with funny purple hair, and he is a famous rapper and everyone likes him, and he meets a lot of players to take pictures with him. And honestly, I liked Korean girls. You feel them like the cherries on the cake. What do you think? And Seong is shocked when he sees his friend and asks him, why you got the game? Then he asks him to stay behind him because he is afraid for him. And Seong's men will arrive to the island and the first game started, and it will be the same doll of the first season. And honestly, I am very excited. And the first game starts, a red light, a green light, and Seong's men will arrive at the trekking place, but the address will be wrong, and Seong will remove the tooth and discover that they have removed the tracking device, and this way all Seong's plans were ruined and he can't do anything but alert everyone and explain to them about the game and warns them of losing because who loses dies. But the players make fun of him and the game starts and the famous music starts and the doll spins. And Seong organizes the players in an amazing way and gives the command of stability and movement. And indeed, he succeeds in the first 5 steps, but a bee comes to a player and she moves, and the doll immediately kills her, and all the players are shocked and start running away, and the doll is killing them one by one, and Seong is screaming to them, but no one is here, and one of the snipers is the rabbit knoll. And in your life, don't trust girls, even if she is a rabbit and nice. Then the game continues, and the people are still in its place, and Seong tells them, you must move before the end of the specified time, or everyone will die. Then we see Knoll sees the father of the child who has cancer, and Thanos hits the people in front of him. I mean, evil started to come out, and half of the players succeeds in winning the first game, and one of the people is hitting in his leg, and the hero Seong decides to come back and help him because he is affectionate, and at the last second he succeeds in reaching the finish line, but the rabbit Knoll kills him, and this is how the first game ends. Then the players go back to the room, and then the officials enter, and everyone is afraid, and the official congratulates everyone for winning and tells them that 91 players were eliminated and 365 players remained, and the players became begging so that they don't kill them. But Seong screams and tells the officials that if the most of the players vote to stop the game, it will be stopped, and the official agrees. But before that, he shows them the prize of the first stage, and people are shocked, and the current amount is 91 billion, and that means each player will take about 24 million. But the players don't like it because they want full prize, and the official answers, in this case, you must continue the games and win the 45 billion. Voting starts according to the sequence of players' numbers and Seong's vote to stop the game, and everyone takes a card according to the vote. But the number of those who agree increases, and Seong yells at them and tells them, everyone will die if we continue playing. But the players gets annoyed with him and asks him, who are you and how do you know the details of the first game? And they think he is a spy player from the Squid Game. Then the players are divided between those who defend Seong and others who hate him. And Seong screams, I played these games before, and here? Everyone is silent and shocked. And Seong tells them that all the players, those who played with me, died, and I was the final winner. But Thanos comes to him and asks him for advice because he has a previous experience, and people who want the game to continue, thinking that having a previous winner with them will be supportive of them and don't know what will happen next. Unlucky players. Seong begs them to vote to stop the game, and the official forces him to shut up because he stopped voting. Then they continue after that. But the shock is that the two teams have the same number of votes, and there's one last player, and his decision will be decisive. And the two teams encourage him, and his number is 001, is like the number of the old man who was in the first season, and votes for the continuation of the game. And now, with the big surprise that the number one player is the masked leader, and he is his brother to the policeman John. And this is how the third episode ends, with the Seong's feeling to stop. Squid Game Season 2 Episode 4 begins with the title Six Legs, and the events begins in the next day at lunchtime. The players wants to know the second game from Seong. He told them that the second game is called Dalgona, which consists of 4 shapes made of sugar candy, with the easiest shape being the triangle and the hardest being the umbrella. After that, the leader sat with Seong disguised as player number 001 and asked him why he returned to the game after winning 45 billion. And Seong told him that money was not to him, but belonged to everyone who was in the game and died. Thanos tried to provoke Myung and asked him to win to get back the money he lost because of his advice to buy cryptocurrencies a year ago. So he grabbed the food and threw it at his face. So Myung fought with him and hit him, but Thanos managed to stand up and hit Myung. So player 001 intervened and stopped Thanos, but Thanos mocked him and tried to hit him too. So player 001 grabbed him and hit him until Thanos begged him to stop, and the players applauded player 001 for stopping Thanos. And that night, player number 001 went to talk to Seong and told him that his wife was very sick with severe liver cirrhosis and needed a liver transplant. He struggled a lot to find a donor and had to borrow money from a trader he worked with. People thought he was taking bribes from him and he was fired from his job. Therefore, this game is his only hope to save his wife, even if the money he will earn is tainted with blood. In a secret room, we discovered that the employees were taking parts from the losing players in order to sell them. They found that most of the parts were not suitable for sale because they had been there for a long time. The supervisor told them that the player had died in a wrong way and that someone had shot her twice to make sure she was dead. And the supervisor asked them who had done that, and they told him that it was the employee number 011. We discovered that she is null. After that, Noel was standing in front of the supervisor, and he told her that he knew she had shot the losing player twice to make sure they were gone. He told her that since he saw her the first time, he had been watching her, so he would give her a second chance, and the leader would not know what happened. Noel told him that when he hired her here, he said her job was to relieve those who felt hopeless from their suffering. But the agreement had changed now, and it was no longer like that. The supervisor got angry with her and told her that they were using the parts to save other people. Noel smiled and walked away. After that, we saw Kim sitting with Captain Park, who was helping him and John search for the island. Kim was telling him about Seong and the game. At that time, we discovered that player number 222, John Hee, knew Myung, the famous in selling cryptocurrencies. Myung was surprised because he hadn't noticed or seen her. We also find out that John Hee was pregnant by Myung, and she agreed with him to lose the baby, but she refused and decided to keep it. She told him she was happy because Thanos hit him. The second game started, and Seong said that it was a new game, and they were required to dive into teams of 5. The players argued with the Seongs because they thought he lied to them when he told them that the second game was the sugar candy game. They needed only one person, so they were surprised when John Hee asked to join their team because she was pregnant and needed help. At the same moment, player Young-sik was struggling because no one wanted to include him in their team because he had his old mother with him. His mother asked him to leave her and join any team, but he refused to leave her alone. In the end, they found a team that was missing a player and joined them. The game started after the teams were completed. We also learned from the staff that the name of the game was Pentathlon with 6 legs, and that there were 5 minigames. The game would start with all teams' members' legs tied together, and each team member would play a minigame every 10 meters. When a team member wins, the next team member can move on to the next minigame. The minigames were as follows. The first game is dakji, and the second is stone throwing. The third is gongi. The fourth is how to spin Beyblade. And the fifth is kicking the jejai 5 times. And they must cross the finish line within 5 minutes. At first, the teams were excited, but the first and second teams failed in the dakji game. Even when they succeeded, they failed a lot in the stone throwing game and repeated it many times, causing them to lose time. Fear began to show on everyone's face as they failed. One of the players wet his clothes, and the players waited, terrified, seeing that the first and second teams had failed and were shot dead. The staff came and took the dead players in coffin, and when Noel found one of them still breathing, she shoots him to make sure no one can take part of him. It was the turn of the remaining teams. The third team included Young-sik, the old woman, and the colors lady, who know what I mean, press-like. Before they started, this team showed terrifying fear. And here, the 4th episode ends. Will they win or fail too? We will find out in the 5th episode. Squid Game Season 2 Episode 5. One More Games is the title. The team starts excited, but the player fails a lot at the dakji game before finally win, and Young-sik invents a clever way to walk backwards to increases their speed and save time. After several failed actions, Young-sik's mother won in her game, despite everyone's doubts due to her age. However, the religious lady fails in the Beyblade game until Colors Lady hit her to help her focus and win, despite the time running out. The team manages to win because of Colors Lady win in the last game. The last team was Seong's team. They won in the game, one after the other, on the first try. But player number 001 failed in his game and started hitting himself. Seong tried to calm and encourage him, saying, "Enjoy it. I found out he's a stupid leader." But because of Seong, he eventually succeeded. The Seong's team win. Then we see 2 employees attacking Noel in her room, angry because she messed up their plan to take parts from the losing players and making the parts not good for sale. She tries to hit them, and escape, but they catch her and threaten her that if she mess up again, they will make an ice cream dream with her. If you understand what I mean, press like. After that, the old lady thanks Colors Lady for her help and tries to understand her life goal, which is to become a beautiful girl. And the player 001 thanks Seong and agree to vote to end the game. The employees then inform the players that the amount collected from the two games has reached 20 billion won. All the players are upset about the amount being small, despite 110 players dying in the second game. The employees explain that they can vote again to either continue the game or stop it. Player 001 starts the voting and this time chooses to stop the game, but Young-sik is in favor of continuing, choking his mother. The player 001 notices that many people want to continue the game, despite seeing many deaths. He explains the danger of the game, saying everyone could die. Thanos rejects this, and everyone agrees with Thanos. The vote ends with the decision to continue, causing Seong to feel despair. Young-sik tries to apologize with his mother, explaining that he had to choose to continue due to his massive debts. But she is feeling sad, fearing someone might die in game. And the shock comes when Seong's friend chooses to continue the game and trying to apologize with Seong. He says that he needs to play the third game to have enough money to pay off his debts. Seong warnings them that they might have to kill each other in the third game. At bedtime, Seong warning his team, fearing players might kill each other like before. And player 001 is puzzled by Seong's actions and tells him he's scared. Seong reminds him that he hasn't seen what Seong has seen. They agree to take turns guarding until the next day. And the next day we see policeman John makes two teams, one led by Captain Park and the other by Captain Ko. John tells Park that they must find the island before the 6 days are over, because the game will end then. The players learn that the third game will start in a few moments. The players go up and the music starts. They are informed that the third game is called the Mix. Thanos the Madman rejoices. We see that it's a rotating platform, and their task is to form groups matching the number here. The goal is to enter the rooms and close the doors within 30 seconds. At this moment, all the players think about how to form groups matching the number here. They try to encourage each other and form teams. The game begins and the platform spins with beautiful music playing, with lyrics encouraging them to dance, spin, clap their hands. Despite everyone's fear, Thanos rejoices and dances. I feel he is like the Joker. The episode ends here. What will happen next? We will find out in the next episode. And so begins Squid Game Season 2 Episode 6 with title OX. While the circular game is rotating, it suddenly stops. They hear the number 10 and they have 30 seconds to form a team of 10 people, enter the room and close the door. At this moment, everyone is breathing badly and arguing. Seong sees the losing players getting killed by the masked. The game is replayed, getting harder each time, while Thanos is dancing happily as if in another world. The players start pulling each other into the rooms to form the required number. In one round, the number 3 comes up, and Young-sik is alone with his mother. They need a third person to complete the required number. Just as time is running out, we see two people pulling Young-sik away from his mother. One of the hardest moments is sacrificing your mother to survive. She is left alone, but Seong quickly takes her with him and player 001. And player 001 asks Young-sik's mother about her son. She feels sad because she thinks her son left her alone, but she defends him. Oh my god, this is mother heart. When everyone exits the rooms, Young-sik feels sad because he left his mother alone and didn't return to her. His mother tries to comfort him, and in the next round, Myung enters the room instead of player Young-mi, who dies because she lost. This causes Young-sik's mother to break down and cry, along with everyone else, because Young-mi was a kind and beautiful girl. And in the following round, the number 2 comes up. We see Jong-bae, Seong's friend, in the same room as player 001. The shock is that someone had entered to the room before them, making the number incorrect. To stay alive, player 001 kills the extra person, which leaves Jong-bae puzzled by his actions. After the game ends, the masked inform the players that they will take another vote if they want to stop the game before starting the 4th game. The players start voting, and Seong is happy that the number of players in the game has increased. However, the team that supports the continuation of the game is working to convince more players. Meanwhile, we see an officer John and assistant Kim finding a door in the ground on the island. When they try to open it, a bomb explodes, forcing them to return to the ship. They understand that the game organizers know their moves and have set traps everywhere, so they decide not to use mobile phone and use walkie-talkies instead. While the players vote, the result becomes 50 players supporter and 49 against. Player 001 hasn't voted yet, but Jong-bae is worried that player 001 will choose to continue the game. However, he chooses to stop the game. The vote is equal, so the masked tell them that, in this case, they will re-vote, but they will give them some time to think about their decisions. Later, the masked people giving food to the players, but it contains a fork, which terrified Seong. He realizes that the game wants them to fight to change the vote result and eliminate some of them. Afterwards, we see Thanos trying to convince player Myung to change his vote and vote to continue the game. At this moment, Thanos starts provoking Myung by talking about his girlfriend and their relationship. This leads to a big fight between them. Thanos beats Myung and tells him that after killing him, he will take his girlfriend. But at the same moment, Myung has a fork and stabs Thanos. Thanos goes sky, and I was shocked because I liked him, despite his evil and psychopathic nature. And this is how episode 6 concludes. And the 7th episode of Squid Game Season 2 starts with the title Friend or Foe. We see Myung broken and scared because he killed Thanos. He enters the bathroom and locks the door. We see the players fighting and hitting each other, and some even kill each other. The masked stand by the bathroom door, unmoving, allowing the players to kill each other. Later, we see the price of money has increased due to the death of 5 players. We see players who refuses to continue the game and players who insist on continuation the game and conflict with each other. Each team sits alone, each member thinking of plan to make their team win the vote. On the ship, the drone owner sees Captain Park playing with the drone and becomes suspicious. Park hit him and throw him into the sea. At the same time, assistant Kim wakes up and talks to Park, saying he heard strange noise. Park replies that he heard the same noise and goes with him to check the source. It turns out to be the sound of the waves. We find out that Park is a spy from the Squid Game. Later, we see the team that wants to continue the game trying to get rid of the other players at night. The masked men know this and prepare to get in after half the players are eliminated. But Seong suggests a crazy idea. Do not resist and hide under the bed. When the masked men enter, they can take their weapons. But player 001 objects, saying that the masked are more number and better armed, and our team might die. Seong says this is our last chance to stop and end the game. Player 001 is surprised that Seong willing to sacrifice the team's lives for everyone else and declares that he has defeated Seong in changing his mind, that the end justifies the means. At bedtime, a group of players hides under the beds to avoid the team that wants to continue the game. At this moment, we see players in a violent struggle with each other, killing without thought. Seong hides under his bed, waiting for the masked men to appear, despite the large number of dead players, staying focused. After a while, the masked men enter, scaring everyone with their weapons. During this time, Seong pretends to be dead to escape from the masked, and his friend Jong-bae do the same. In a sudden move, they grabbed their weapons and opened fire on them, managing to eliminate them after a big fight. And player 001 quickly shoots at the masked men, saving Seong from death. This drives the supervisor crazy, and he orders the masked men to retreat and close the doors. However, Seong and his team capture one of them. Seong prevents one of them from killing the team, that instead of continuing the game, despite them having killed many who refused to continue the next game. Seong and his team destroy all the cameras and ask a color lady to gather a mountain. Then he talks to all players. He encourages them to join him to eliminate the game leader and end the game. But everyone is scared, and Jong-bi speaks to everyone, saying that he is as scared as they are, but that this is their only chance to escape. He encourages the players one by one to join Seong, and we see Young-sik is stopped by his mother. Then, Seong makes the masked men who are captured take off his mask to show their identities. He takes him to lead them to the game leader. Suddenly, more armed masked attack, shooting at them, and the supervisor warns the masked not to let the players approach the control area. But Seong and his team manage to go to the leader, and the masked man with Seong leads them to the control area and tells him to wear his mask to bypass the security system. Suddenly, a bullet hits the masked man's head. Seong and his team hides and shoot at the masked men. Seong takes the mask from the dead man and escapes with Jong-bae to find the control area themselves. They open door after door but find nothing. Seong lifts the mask in front of the camera, and suddenly the door to the control area opens. Meanwhile, the supervisor watches them through the cameras and sends the masked men to catch them. When they see the masked men, Seong and Jong-bae fight them with their weapons. Seong shows great courage, capturing weapons from the fallen masked men. Due to lack of ammunition, he asks player 001 for support, and indeed he going with 2 players, and upon reaching the control area, looks at the camera, then joins Seong and Jong-bae. Seong gives him extra ammunition and asks him to attack from the back. During this time, the other team runs out of ammunition and asks player Gi-hun to gather more from the dead masked at the player's center. When he goes, he feels scared as the sound of gunfire increases. He gets very terrified. He decides to surrender, throwing the radio to the ground, ignoring his teammates. At the same time, when player 001 leaves Seong, he kills the 2 players with him. He contacts Seong through the radio, telling him it's all over. He pretends to be taking his last breaths and then shoots. Seong feels sad and doesn't understand what is happening, and thinking the masked men killed the player 001 and his team. And we see many players injured. The situation getting so bad, they run out of ammunition. They inform Seong of their surrender, but the masked men kill them initially. Seong and Jong-bae decide to surrender too, as they are alone. And the player 001 dressed as the leader appears and wearing the black mask, and says to Seong, "Did you enjoy playing the hero?" And then says, "See the consequences of playing the hero." He eliminates Seong's friend in front of his eyes. Seong is shocked, and then the leader leaves. Seong feels deep sadness and anger, screaming and crying, and with this scene, the series ends with an open-ended hint of a 3rd season. Later, Netflix releases a teaser for the green light red light doll with a new doll, announces that the 3rd season will be released in 2025. I'm very excited for the 3rd season. What do you feel? Share your thoughts in the comments. And don't forget to press like and subscribe to the channel to get new movie recaps. Miss Bombastic was with you. Goodbye my friends, with my love.